Now, in this lesson, we're going to learn about users and groups in Windows. To understand what a user group in Windows is, well, you must first know what a user account is. The very short definition is this. A user account is a collection of settings used by Windows to understand your preferences. It's also used to control the files and folders you access, the tasks you are allowed to perform, the devices and resources you are allowed to use, and so on and so forth. Users' accounts are also the way of authenticating and receiving the authorization to use your Windows device. So this brief definition ought to be a good start for understanding what user groups are in Windows. But let's expand this knowledge a little bit. In Windows operating systems, a user group is a collection of multiple user accounts that share the same access rights to the computer and/or network resources and have common security rights. So this is why you will often hear IT professionals refer to these user groups as security groups. User groups can be categorized into three different types. Local groups. So these are the user groups that exist on your Windows computer or device. They're defined locally and can be managed from the Local Users and Groups, or LUSR MGR.MSC tool. So these are the user groups that home users work with and ones that we're going to talk about. Security groups have security descriptors associated with them. Security groups are used in Windows domains with Active Directory. And then there's distribution groups. These are useful for distributing emails to users that belong to domains with Active Directory. Security groups and distribution groups are just two types of user groups that are commonly utilized in commercial settings and enterprise networks. For example, if you operate in a large organization with various departments and a large number of computers, both mobile and workstations, you may come across security user groups. System admins use groups to restrict user access to operating system characteristics that they really shouldn't be getting into or certainly shouldn't change, as well as setting different levels of access for applications on the company's network. Now, by default, the only users who are allowed to make changes to user groups are the ones who belong to the administrators or power user groups. In the image below, you can see that only members of the administrators groups are the user's administrator and digital citizen. So if you try to make any changes to a user group while you're logged in with a user account that's not part of the administrators or power users group, you're going to get the following error. Access is denied. You can manage existing users and user groups only from an administrator account. So in other words, if you want to view and modify user groups, you must log in with a user account that is part of the administrator's user group. Once logged in with the right account, open the Computer Management tool and use the Local Users and Groups snap-in to see the list of groups. However, take notice of the fact that this snap-in is available only in some Windows editions. Windows 7 Professional, Ultimate, and Enterprise, Windows 8.1 Pro and Enterprise, and Windows 10 Pro and Enterprise. So a file system is a way of organizing a drive, indicating how data is stored on the drive and what types of information can be attached to files, such as permissions and file names. The NTFS, or NT File System, stands for New Technology File System, NTFS. Right? So NTFS is the latest file system that the Windows NT operating system uses for storing and retrieving files. But prior to NTFS, a file allocation table, or FAT file system, was the primary file system in Microsoft's older operating systems, and that was designed for small disks and simple folder structures. We talked about that earlier. I'll show you a little bit more about NTFS permissions that are used to manage access to the files and folders that are stored in NTFS. So to see what kinds of permissions you will be extending when you share a file or folder, right-click on the file or folder, go to Properties, click on the Security tab, and you'll probably see this window. So besides full control, change, and read, you can actually set groups, or you can set these permissions individually. So modify, read, and execute, list folder contents, read, write, and full control. So there's your introduction to managing NTFS permissions. Why don't you go check them out on the computer you're working with right now? So here's File Explorer. It was previously known as Windows Explorer. It's a file manager application that's included with releases of Microsoft Windows operating systems from Windows 95 and onwards. It provides you a graphical user interface. File Explorer in Windows 10 is an essential built-in tool that allows you to access, delete, create, move, and copy files, whether they're stored locally on the device or on the network or even in a cloud service. While Windows Explorer or File Explorer is a term most commonly used to describe the file management aspect of the operating system. To open File Explorer, click on the File Explorer icon located in Taskbar. Alternatively, you can open File Explorer just by clicking on the Start button and then clicking on File Explorer. You can also open the File Explorer with Task Manager. So you open Task Manager, right-clicking on the taskbar and click Task Manager. After opening the taskbar, click the file on the top left and click Run New Task. Right, Explorer, and hit Enter. So easy, huh? So defining MSConfig briefly, that is System Configuration Tool, it's a management tool where you can edit the operations performed while the operating system is booting on computers with the Windows operating system. MSConfig allows you to edit programs and services that will run when Windows starts up. Thus, you can identify any problems that will prevent the operating system from working properly and prevent any problems in the future. You can access MSConfig by typing MSConfig in the search field in the Start menu or by typing msconfig.exe in the Run menu. To open MSConfig, click the search and write MSConfig. And then after running the msconfig command, a system configuration window opens, similar to what you see on the screen. General tab, Boot tab, Services tab, Startup tab, Tools tab. The General section in the system configuration is the default, and it displays how the computer starts. The boot menu enables you to make the same changes to the Windows boot.ini file without actually having to edit it. The Services tab allows you to enable or disable any Microsoft Windows services or other program services that you have running on the computer. The Startup tab is probably one of the most frequent reasons most Windows users enter System Configuration Utility. You see, all of the Microsoft Windows utilities are accessible through the Tools tab. Selecting the Event Viewer option in the tool name list and clicking the Launch button, for example, will take you to the Event Viewer tool. Now, in order to accomplish tasks in the background, Windows offers services. There's different sorts of job services, and they will actually emerge in order to complete activities like printing, network authentication, encryption, and so forth. By default, Windows provides a large number of services. A shortcut to the Service Management Console is services.msc. So we're going to take a look at how to use services.msc to open and manage services right now in this video. So to open the Services Manager, write Services to search. And after opening the Services Manager panel, you see a lot of services that are in different states. Now, there are two basic service status types. So if you look at this, running means services are running as expected, but stopped means services are not running and active. So you can easily actually start and stop a service. Just right-click any service, and here you can start and stop any of these services. You can also start or stop any services, all tasks. You can see the properties of the service to get information about it as well. Now, many times it occurs that our computer just, doesn't want to do what we want it to. It appears to have just stopped. It won't listen to us. It could even shut down unexpectedly, or let's just say it behaves abnormally. Thing is, there could be a number of reasons for this kind of behavior, and pointing out the exact reason might be of great help. So then we turn to Performance Monitor, which is a Windows utility that can be used just for this purpose. So it's using this utility, you can monitor your system's performance and see how different apps affect it. You can examine information about your CPU, memory, network, hard drive, and other components. It can also provide information on how the system's resources are managed, as well as many other configuration details that certainly will, if not be valuable to you, be valuable to someone who you're going to take your Windows computer to. But it can also capture and log data in files. That can also be subsequently evaluated. To open the Performance Monitor, just go to the search bar and type in Performance Monitor. Now from the left-hand pane, select Performance Monitor under Monitoring Tools. Now the graph you see here is the processor time over the last 100 seconds. The horizontal axis displays time, and the vertical axis displays the percentage of time that your processor consumes working on the various active programs. Now, apart from the processor time counter, you can also analyze many other counters. You could also print this performance and analyze it. Now, how about a more advanced tool that can do an incredible number of things? Most of the time, the Windows Task Manager is used to do something very basic. Well, let's see what's running right now. And you can also see performance and services, etc. But you see, Task Manager may be used to forcefully terminate any of the currently running processes, as well as to view how much each program uses your computer system resources, and which services and programs start when your machine boots up. To open the Task Manager, just press Control, Shift, and Escape at the same time. So yeah, just by pressing those three keys together, Task Manager will launch. But you could also hit right-click on the taskbar, and you'll see Task Manager there. You can easily start it from there as well. So let's have a look at the taskbar. Looks really useful, right? So here are the processes, performance, app history, startup, users, details, services tabs right here in the Task Manager. So the Processes tab contains a list of all the running programs and apps right here on your computer. You can easily end a task with a click on it. On the right bottom corner here, you can see the End Task button, right? The Performance tab is a summary of what's going on overall with your major hardware components like your disk, GPU, CPU, memory, and Ethernet or NIC, which is the network interface card. Task Manager may be used to forcefully terminate any of the currently running processes, as well as to view how much each program uses your computer system resources and which programs and services start when your machine boots up. The Startup tab shows every program that starts up automatically with Windows. So when you right-click any app, you can enable or disable apps that will start with Windows or that won't start with Windows. The Users tab shows every user that's currently signed into the computer and what processes are running within each. The Details tab shows every individual process that's running right now, as well as the usage of resources. The Services tab shows at least some of the Windows services installed on your computer. So you see, that's a very handy and useful utility in Windows. Check it out. So Windows 10 includes a built-in utility called Disk Management. Now, this is well known among computer users. It can assist you in managing hard disk partitions without the need for a reboot or any other disruption. It can actually assist with certain simple disk management. It's most commonly used Windows built-in disk partition management tool with basic features. So open Start and type Disk Management, and here it is. So you can see all the disks on your computer with their partitions. I'm sure most Windows 10 desktop and laptop users have come across a problem of low disk space, especially for system partitions. Well, you can manage installed drives on a computer, such as hard disk drives, optical disk drives, and flash drives right here from this utility. It can be used to partition drives, format drives, assign drive letters, and so much more. You can extend volumes, delete volumes, change volumes names. You can manage all the disks just the way you want. Now, if you right-click on any disk, as you can see, you can change the volume name and even delete a disk. The important part, though, is right here, Shrink Volume. So if you click on Shrink Volume, the system will automatically show any available space to shrink. So you can actually create a new part with this. You can even format a disk from Disk Management. So that's just a little bit more on how to manage disks on your computer. So did you notice here the remote desktop gets launched with MSTSC? This is a Windows command. So as a result, the MSTSC can also be referred to as Remote Desktop Command. MSTSC can be used to establish a connection when you're on the same network or know the IP address of a remote computer. A remote desktop connection allows you to connect to another person's computer and use it as if you were standing right next to them. As a result, the remote desktop is extremely useful. The MSTSC is also critical for desktop management. Now, all parameters of MTSC commands can make MSTSC work. All of them are available for you. So, therefore, you can just pick one according to your demand. In fact, why don't we do that right now? So let's just activate Remote Desktop Command, open Start, and write MSTSC. Okay, so here's the remote desktop connection. So if you write the IP address or domain name that you want to connect the computer to, you will have a remote connection to the desktop that you want.